On November 2nd, 1917, Britain's Foreign Secretary, Arthur Balfour, wrote a letter that would set off a conflict still being fought more than 100 years later.
His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object.
Shalom, shalom. Back for another lesson. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. And next, double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of Great Millstone, who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere. I can keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of whether people hear or forbear. And I'm going to do this quick. Lesson on this video right here. This video is entitled "How Israel Was Created." Okay, and this is speaking about the creation state of Israel, which was created in 1948. All right, and it's just going to be a quick history of that. And as we're watching the video, I'm going to interject from time to time and bring out scriptures. So Lord willing, is this edifying to the elect wherever you may be scattered across the four corners of the earth. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it.
When Balfour wrote of his government's intent to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine, 90% of the people living there were not Jewish. Just 31 years later, most of them were gone.
כמה אתה חושב אנשים הרגת ככה?
לא ספרתי. אני לא יכול לדעת בחיי. היה לי מקלע עם 250 כדורים.
This is the story.
Okay, so I'll just pause the video 51 seconds. You see how they're talking about essentially what happened is the JOOs, all right, the you-wish people, they came into the land and they had people that were already occupying it, the Palestinians, and they just came in, started slaughtering people, all right. And you see this dude, he's laughing about it. He said, "How many people do you think that you killed?" And he said, he's laughing. He said, "I don't even keep count. I didn't even keep count." Right? So these people, man, these people are wicked. And why is that? Okay. Let's I'm gonna go real quick over to KJV. I'm gonna go to Genesis chapter 27. All right. Okay, Genesis chapter 27. Let's scroll all the way down. Let's see. And Salakia, bear with me. Genesis chapter 27 and verse, let's see. Okay. Verse 39 and 40. It says, "And Isaac his father answered and said unto him," this is talking about Esau, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew from heaven above." So that means be living in the finest of things and have the wealth of the earth. "And by the sword thou shalt live and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." All right, and the reason why it says that, because there was a time during the Dark Ages that we had them in captivity, okay, for a period of time. Now, but it says here, it says, "And by thy sword shalt thou live." All right, so Esau is constantly creating war. All right, they're constantly creating conflict, and actually, matter of fact, the scripture says, "Constantly are they gathered together for war." I'm gonna get that right quick. All right, their blessing was a sword, so that's what they do. They use it. All right. Actually, you know what? I gotta search it up. I just did a video on the characteristics of the wicked, according to Job chapter 21. This is another one. All right. Constantly are they gathered together for war. All right. If you look at all the wars of the world, the major wars, All right. You can pretty much always guarantee that Esau Edom is behind it some way or somehow. So here it is, Psalms the 140th chapter. All right. I'm just going to read verse 1 through 3. It says, "Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war." All right. "They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adders poison is under their lips. Selah." All right. So constantly are they gathered together for war. Okay. "And they sharpen their tongues like a serpent. Adders poison is under their lips." Think about the serpent in the garden. The serpent in the garden was telling lies. All right. And it's not an actual serpent. It was really a man. Okay. Pretty much telling Eve, hey, you can rebel against the Most High, and nothing bad is gonna happen. Okay. And that's they have managed to do that and spread that lie all throughout the whole world. That's the reason why it says in Revelations 12:9 that the devil has deceived the whole world. All right. Because we know the devil to be Esau Edom, the so-called white man. And this nation, the people who are in the land, the JOOs who are in the land right now, they are the chief nation of Esau, which was Esau's grandson, Amalek. Okay, they are the descendants of Amalek, the Amalekites. So that's the reason why they have the greatest power on the earth right now. Okay, because they're the chief nation of the seed of the wicked. But we're going to keep on watching the video. And like I said, every now and then I'm going to interject and bring out scriptures.
Story of the British promise that led to the destruction of Palestine and the creation of the State of Israel. Let's start with the obvious question. Why were the British making promises about other people's countries? The short answer: empire is one hell of a drug. This was World War I, and the British were making lots of promises. In addition to promising a Jewish homeland in Palestine, they promised Arab leaders independence if they rose up against Britain's enemy, the Ottoman Empire. The Arabs did. Hollywood even made a movie about it.
Arabia's for the Arabs now. That's what I've told them anyway. That's what they think. That's why they're fighting.
Oh, surely.
A month after Balfour's letter, British troops took Palestine, ending 400 years of Ottoman rule. The people who lived there were Arabs, mostly Muslims, but there were Christian and Jewish minorities too. There was also a tiny number of European Jews who in the late 1800s had started building small colonies there. At a time when many Jews were suffering horrific persecution in Europe, they felt Palestine could be an escape. The idea of building up a Jewish presence in Palestine became known as Zionism, but it stayed a fringe movement among European Jews. Many of them felt they shouldn't have to leave their countries to avoid persecution. But Zionism as a political movement took a big step forward with an Austrian man called Theodor Herzl. And this guy is a very important name in this story. In 1896, he published Der Judenstaat, or in English, The Jewish State. In it, he said the only way for Jews to avoid Europe's anti-Semitism was not just to leave, but to have their own country. And Herzl didn't just write. The next year, he organized a conference in Basel, Switzerland, the first Zionist Congress. The attendees agreed on a program which sought, among other things, to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestine and promote Jewish settlement in Palestine. From here on out, the Zionist movement became very active, setting up funds to promote Jewish immigration to Palestine, companies to buy land there, and recruiting representatives to advocate for their cause with different governments. A few days after the conference, Herzl wrote this in his diary.
At Basel, I founded the Jewish state. In 5 years perhaps, and certainly in 50 years, everyone will perceive it.
He was only off by 1 year. Okay, so that is a lot of history, but it's important because the Zionist movement is a critical part of the story going forward. especially after it found a friend in the British government, where a lot of high-ranking officials supported Zionism, sometimes for unexpected reasons. Prime Minister Lloyd George, for example, was a Christian zealot who believed gathering the Jewish people in Palestine would bring Jesus Christ back to earth. Others, like Balfour, believed that getting the Jewish people out of Europe and into their own country would be a good thing. Herzl was pretty visionary when he wrote that the anti-Semitic nations will become our allies. Meanwhile, the Zionists assured Britain that their future country would be a reliable ally. So that's the backstory of how European anti-Semitism, Zionism, and British imperialism all led to the Balfour Declaration, this British promise to build a homeland for Jews in Palestine. Now we're going to look at how Britain did that. World War I had been a conflict between rival empires, and the winners set up the League of Nations to distribute the losing side's territories between them. They called it the Mandate System, putting territories once controlled by the Ottoman and German empires under the, quote, tutelage of advanced nations until they became independent. Britain was given the mandate over Palestine, but the Palestinian people were never asked what they wanted or what independence would look like to them. Listen to what Balfour wrote to one of his colleagues.
For in Palestine we do not propose even to go through the form of consulting the wishes of the present inhabitants of the country.
Instead, it was the Zionists who were consulted about what their vision for Palestine was, and so the mandate ended up incorporating not just the Balfour Declaration, but several clauses requiring Britain to ensure the establishment of a Jewish home in Palestine.
Okay, all right, so we see that, all right, and once again, when they got into the land, they took it by force, all right. Lots of bloodshed, and but that Balfour Declaration, I'm gonna go ahead. I think I saved that in my photos, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Okay, yep, I got it right here. So it says let me see. There we go. Okay, it says, I have much pleasure. Slakia, I'll start at the beginning. Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of non-existing Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political statutes by Jews in any country. I should be careful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Okay, now, the beginning of that, I have much pleasure in conveying to you on behalf of His Majesty's government. All right, and essentially, there's more pages talking about how they have taken over the land. All right, so now, hold up. What I was going to bring up was this is in prophecy. Okay, Ezekiel chapter 36. Ezekiel 36, and I'll start at verse 1. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, Ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy hath said against you, Aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore, prophesy and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and you are taken up in the lips of talkers, and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord, the Most High. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh to the mountains, and to the hills, to the rivers, and to the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. It says, Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. All right, so this is prophecy. Okay, remember that letter was written to the Rothschilds, who, if you do research, they know that they're Edomites. All right, but it tells you right here, and it also tells you farther up. Okay, it also tells you farther up that that the true Israelites are a prey and are a derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about them. Okay, but anyways, at verse 5, all right, this is when it happened. This is the beginning of that 1948 creation state. Okay, the Idumeans came in and they took it by force. All right, and it was a great joy to them. Now, I'm going to go back to the video. All right, let's see. Okay, let's keep watching.
British rule was very accommodating to the Zionist project. The Jewish community in Palestine grew with big waves of immigration. They had their own schools and factories and even their own militia, the Haganah, and they were led by the Polish-born David Ben-Gurion, the leader of their representative body, the Jewish Agency. To the Palestinians, it was clear that Britain wasn't delivering them independence. It was delivering their country to other people. In 1936, they went on strike. British forces tried to break the strike with arrests, torture, mass punishment, and executions. Leaders were exiled, weapons confiscated, and houses blown up. Palestinian fighters attacked British and Jewish targets, while British and Haganah forces would carry out joint raids on Palestinian villages. Something had to change. The British government sent a commission called the Peel Commission to figure it out, but their proposed solution was typical. Just draw another British line on the map, divide the country, give this part to the Jews and this part to the Palestinians, and make that part of Transjordan next door. Oh, and because the Palestinians were a majority in the country, 250,000 of them would have to be removed by force to make the Jewish state viable. Remember, these were the proposals that were meant to calm things down. Spoiler, they didn't. Instead, the revolt continued until 1939, by which time about 10% of Palestine's adult male population had either been killed, injured, arrested, or exiled. The British government really needed a solution. So, here comes another report.
The Commission is studying the 20-year-old Jewish settlements in British-mandated Palestine.
The 1939 White Paper created a conflict between the British and the Zionists for the first time, because it rejected partition and said the solution was for Palestine to gain independence within 10 years, with everyone living there sharing it together. Crucially, it also imposed severe limits on Jewish land purchases and immigration. To the Zionists, this felt like a betrayal. In response, some set off bombs across the country, killing dozens of Palestinians. But soon, everyone was distracted by something much.
Pause the video. All right. Pause the video. Go to some prophecy. And this exact prophecy shows up twice within the scriptures. Let's go to first. I'm gonna get Micah chapter 4. All right. Get Micah chapter 4. All right. It says, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it." Okay. Now, mountain and hills are code word for large governments and small governments. So the government of the Lord, the kingdom of the Lord, shall be established on the top of the mountain, which is Israel. And we're going to see that. It says, "Many nations shall come and say, Come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem." Obviously, we don't see that happening. Actually, I think just recently, one of their main cities, Tel Aviv, was named the gayest city on earth. All right. So they're not teaching the law. They don't even believe in the Bible. The people that are over there, and they're not supposed to, because they're Amalek, they're Amalekites. Verse 3, it says, "And he shall judge many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." So when the true Israelites return to the land, it's not going to be any war in the land anymore. All right. And also, the people of the world are going to be coming to learn the ways of the Lord from the Israelites. All right. We also see this in Isaiah chapter 2. All right. Exact same prophecy. So, Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 1, "The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, northern and southern kingdom, Salakia, southern and northern kingdom. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to learn to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." All right. So there you go. That tells you right there. It says essentially pretty much that there's not going to be any more war once the true children of Israel return. All right. So that's one, and I made a video actually. I made a video not long ago, 7 biblical prophecies that break 1948. All right. 7 biblical prophecies that break 1948. But that's one of the major ones right there. When the Israelites return, there's supposed to be peace on earth. All right. We obviously don't see that happening. Actually, in fact, the very night that they got there, a war broke out. Okay. And there's continuously wars breaking out, little skirmishes breaking out in that creation state. Okay. Let's keep watching the video though.
Speaker. More than 60 million people were killed in World War II, including 6 million Jews murdered in Nazi death camps. Jewish survivors fled Europe, with a large number of them trying to find safety in Palestine despite the British limit on Jewish immigration. This set off a more direct confrontation between the Zionists and the British, with Palestinians often targeted as well. The Zionists knew 2 things. Militarily, they were stronger than the Palestinians, and Britain was exhausted by World War II, so it wouldn't have the stomach to keep fighting in Palestine. They were right. In 1947, after 30 years of occupation, Britain announced it was quitting Palestine and asked the newly formed United Nations to clean up its mess. Alright, 1947 and 1948 are the most pivotal years in this story, so let's take a look at how things are lining up. During British rule, Jews had gone from 10% to 30% of the population, and owned about 6% of the land. Under Ben-Gurion's leadership, the Jewish Agency was pretty much functioning as a government for the Jewish community. And the Zionist militias had tens of thousands of soldiers, modern weapons, and officers who'd already fought in World War II. On the other side, the Palestinians hadn't been allowed to develop their own administration or military. But as they waited for the UN solution, they were still the majority all over the country. In November...
Okay, pausing the video again. All right. So I just want to bring out a few scriptures. So the reason why there's always conflicts in that region, and the so-called the JOOs, okay, the Jewish people, the reason why they're always getting into stuff, actually, I'm going to read it to you right here. Okay, back to the scriptures. Okay, let's go to Exodus chapter 17. Exodus chapter 17, and I'm going to go all the way down to verse 16. It says, For he said, because the Lord has sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. All right. So the Lord, he really hates all Edomites, but once again, they're the chief nation of Esau. The Lord hates them more than any other nation on the face of the earth. All right. So there's never going to be peace with Amalek. They're always going to be at war. Okay. They are truly the cursed, the true cursed to judgment of the Lord. All right. And just what they were saying about how those those Israeli, the JOOs, how they were proficient in war. Same thing, that goes back to their blessing being the sword. But check this out. This is Psalms 44:6. Okay. Psalms 44:6. It says, "For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me." So the true Israelites, okay, they are the defenseless people. All right. If you read the accounts, for the most part, unless the Lord gave them spiritual powers or rose up a savior for them, we have Israelites that went into captivity over and over and over and over, and salvation from our enemies doesn't come from, because it's not going to come from the sword. The Lord, he always does miraculous things to save the children of Israel. All right. And I'm not saying that there wasn't men of war who were valiant men in battle, but but what they're speaking about, because they're trying to say that the Israelites that are there, or they're trying to say that the people that are there right now are the same Israelites that are the ones of the Bible, and that's just not the case. All right. Okay, because when the Lord brings back all the scattered Israelites and takes them back to the land, it's going to be a great and mighty exodus. All right, and it speaks of this in Jeremiah chapter 16. Let's go there real quick. All right, and this right here tells you as well, they're not the people. Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse I'm gonna start at verse 14. It says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers." All right. So that tells you right there, because the children of Israel are prophesied to be in the land of the north, okay, which is also known as the daughter of Babylon, and they're going to be ruled over by Esau, Edom, until the time of the end, okay, until the Savior returns, and I'm going to prove that right quick. All right, and staying in the book of Jeremiah, we'll go to we'll go to chapter 23 in the book of Jeremiah. All right. And let's see. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 5. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, that I will raise up unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth." Okay. And in his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. All right. It says, "Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their land." All right, so they should dwell in their own land, Salakia. So where is that? Where is Salakia? I'm a little distracted. But nobody has spoken about the children of Israel being delivered out of the land of the north, because it has not happened yet. All right, when when the Lord, it says, when the Lord comes, he's going to bring a great deliverance. And we know that to be by way of the chariots, and he's going to deliver them from the hands of the enemies. Okay, out of the land of the north, which is also the daughter of Babylon, out of the hands of Esau, Edom. All right, that has not happened yet. So the people that are over there, once again, as we read in Ezekiel 36:5, those are the Idumeans. All right, and when the true children of Israel return, there's going to be peace on earth, and they're going to return by way of the Savior bringing them there. Okay, they're not going to, to go in there and go to war with the people that are already there and overcome. All right, that's not how it's going to happen. All right, the Lord it's going to be a divine gathering. All right, so we'll go back to the video.
November 1947, the UN, then only made up of a fraction of the world's countries, voted to partition Palestine. This plan marked off 55% of the country for a Jewish state, but the UN never explained how it could be a Jewish state when half the people in its territory were Palestinian. To nobody's surprise, Palestinians, and in fact all Arabs, rejected the UN's plan. Ben-Gurion and the Zionist leadership accepted, but they saw an opportunity. With the British on the way out, the Zionists knew they would have the strongest military in Palestine. Their forces were instructed to seize more territory than they'd been awarded by the UN, and to do what was necessary to reduce the number of Palestinians in it. In cities like Haifa, the militia set off car bombs in Palestinian neighborhoods. They attacked villages and forced residents out.
Haganah troops have driven the Arabs out of the beleaguered city, taking many prisoners.
After inspecting parts of western Jerusalem that had been emptied of Palestinians, Ben-Gurion said,
"In many Arab neighborhoods in the West, you do not see even one Arab. If we persist, it is quite possible that in the next 6 or 8 months there will be considerable changes in the country, and to our advantage."
One of the events that helped speed up these changes took place on April 9th, 1948, when the village of Deir Yassin was attacked. A British government report to the United Nations describes the scene. 250 people were killed in circumstances of great savagery. Women and children were stripped, lined up, photographed, and then slaughtered by automatic firing. The story of what happened at Deir Yassin.
Okay, and just to pause again, man. Once again, okay, the true children of Israel are not. All right, they're not gonna be. They're not. What's it called? They're not going to deliver themselves by their sword and by their bow. All right. Esau is the one that has the power of the sword, and that's why they went in there slaughtering them people. I got another scripture that I want to bring out. Let me see, Zephaniah chapter 3. Okay, Zephaniah chapter 3. And verse 12, it says, I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of the Lord. All right. And the people that are over there right now, they're definitely not poor. And they're definitely not afflicted. They're the ones that are running. They're the ones that are running pretty much the whole world. Okay, the true children of Israel they're not gonna have power of that sort in the kingdoms of the world. All right, because the true children of Israel, their kingdom is gonna come when the Lord returns. All right, we find that in Daniel chapter 7. Okay, the kingdom is gonna be given to the people of the Most High, who are the saints, the children of Israel. All right. And also, I guess I got another prophecy I'm going to bring out. Isaiah 42 and 22. Okay. It tells you, it says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivereth for a spoil, and none saith, restore. All right. So, think about what they're saying. They say that the British are the ones that helped them to and pretty much declared that they were going to have their own nation in Palestine. All right, you show me in the scriptures where any nations have ever came to the aid of the children of Israel. You show me that. All right, and it says right here. It says that therefore it pray and none delivereth, for spoil and none saith restore. So the true children of Israel, they're not going to have any help from the nations. They're not going to be, partnering with any heathen nations. All right. So that's at least not on a mass scale. You have 2/3 Israelites that try to make covenants and make amends with the heathens and all that kind of stuff. But they, for the most part, the majority of the children of Israel today, which we know to be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, they fit this prophecy. All right, especially the so-called Negroes. If you think about in America, the highest prison population is mostly so-called Negroes and Latinos. All right, primarily. Okay, so these people they don't fit the prophecies, man. That's just plain and simple. They don't fit the prophecies. But we're gonna keep watching.
Scene set off panic all over the country. As news spread, people fled, fearing they would be next. Historians have recorded dozens of similar massacres during this period. Each time, they would result in entire communities fleeing.
תמיד הייתה הוראה של בן גוריון לגרש את האנשים משם. כבשנו את המקום, טרקטורים חרשו את המקום. חרשו. לא נשאר זכר של כפר. למה? לא רצו שתהיה, לא חזרה ולא זכר של המקום.
By the time Britain ended its mandate on May 15, 1948, 250,000 Palestinians had fled. The night before, David Ben-Gurion announced the founding of the State of Israel, with himself as its first prime minister. He was standing under a giant portrait of Herzl, 51 years after Herzl had predicted this very moment. The Zionist militias came together as the newly formed Israel Defense Forces, but the fighting wasn't over. With the British out of the way, soldiers from several Arab countries entered Palestine. But the Israeli army was better equipped, better organized, and unlike the Arab armies, had a unified command and backing from several European countries. Israeli forces pushed into places that the UN had assigned to the Palestinian state, like the towns of Lidda and Ramle. 50,000 people were forced to flee from there, many on foot, in what became known as the Lidda Death March. After being emptied, the towns were given Hebrew names, Lod and Ramla. Like in many other emptied towns, the buildings and homes were taken over by the new Israeli state and given to Jews. By the time the UN secured an armistice, 3/4 of the Palestinian people had become refugees. In Arabic, they call this the Nakba, literally the catastrophe. The new state of Israel made up 78% of what had been Palestine. The remaining parts were annexed by Jordan or taken over by Egypt. A year later, the UN passed a resolution calling for all Palestinian refugees to be allowed to return home. They never have been. Palestine had been erased. In the decade...
All right, pausing the video again. I'm going to go bring out some scriptures. Okay. I want to go to Habakkuk chapter 2. All right. Okay. So, Salakia, bear with me. Okay. All right, here we go. Habakkuk chapter 2, and I'm gonna get verse 8. It says, "Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein." All right. So, I've said this before, and I say it again. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is the undisputed champion of bloodshed across the face of the earth. Wherever they go, murder, robbery, you know, I mean, there's all kind of debauchery and abominations happen wherever they show up. All right, and it's the same thing. You know, they what they did to the people of Palestine. Now, I'm not for Palestine either, because the land don't really belong to neither one of them. All right, and it tells you that in the book of Joel, chapter 3. All right, that the heathens have parted up the land, and that's why he's going to bring World War III to that, you know, to that region. All right, really all over the world, but you know, the valley of Jehoshaphat. That says Jehoshaphat. Okay, he's going to bring destruction upon that area, you know, because they took his land and divided it up among the heathen. But, you know, right here, man, this just goes to tell you the nature of Esau, Edom. All right, and once again, they are the chief nation of Esau, Edom, Amalek. All right, I'm gonna keep reading. Salakia, I'll keep watching. Only got 1 minute left in the video.
Decades since, attempts to resolve this conflict have again tried to partition the land. With each successive attempt, the territory offered to Palestinians in their historic homeland shrinks even more. Ironically, Israel is still struggling to maintain the population advantage it gained in 1948 when it forced all those people out, because in 1967, it occupied the West Bank and Gaza, bringing all the Palestinians living there under its rule. And so today, the population of Jews and non-Jews in this land is roughly equal. But those living under occupation have no rights, no citizenship, and no prospect of independence. The Nakba era tactics of settlement.
Okay, I'm going to pause it one more time. Only 30 seconds left on the clip, but bring out some scriptures. And then after this, I'm going to finish out with the book of Obadiah. All right, Micah chapter 2. It says, Salakia. Okay, Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. All right, now, this is really, you know, the children of Israel is who we're really speaking of. And this really applies to the so-called Native American. Okay, the Gadites, all right, they they came in and they completely took their land, took it by violence, and put them under complete oppression. Took their Native American heritage from them, which they're really Israelites. But I mean, Esau, Edom is the same blueprint. Once again, because they're created to be the wicked. Verse 3, it says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for this time is evil." All right, and that's really talking about the time we're coming into now. Okay, he's raising up the nations to spark this big conflict, this big trouble. All right. As a matter of fact, I might as well go into it. Joel chapter 3. All right, this is what we're coming into now. It says, Joel chapter 3, it says, I'm going to start at verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. All right. So and all these heathen nations are guilty. They're all a part of it. Okay, you read the Psalms 83rd chapter, it tells you all the different nations that have worked against the true children of Israel. Okay, and it even tells you here, if we scroll down, actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna read verse 4. It says, "Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, by returning your recompense upon your own head, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things." Listen to this. "The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border." All right. And the Grecians, they represent the Europeans. Now, when were the JOOs ever sold into captivity under the Greeks or under any Europeans? It didn't happen. Okay, when were they ever sold, period? Didn't happen. All right. So we know who it's talking about. And it says that you might remove them far from their border. And plenty of prophecies tell them they were never to return until the Lord came back. All right. They weren't going to see that land again. Actually, I think that's in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay. They weren't going to see that land again. All right. So that's, I mean, the whole Bible tells you that these people are not the people. But I was gonna get something else. Yeah, I think I'll close out on that video and then I'll get Obadiah and we'll call it a night.
Home demolitions and expulsion are still used against them.
Nakba, Nakba, no! We want Nakba, Nakba, no!
Israel has taken the land but wants nothing to do with the millions under its rule. International, Israeli, and Palestinian human rights groups say this system is a form of apartheid. To see if that's an accurate description of Israel more than 100 years after Balfour's promise, watch this video here.
Alright, that's the end of that video. So we see the Lord, actually, you know what? There's still some more meat on that Joel chapter 3. I'm going to read a little bit more. All right, here we go. Yep. Yeah, so Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right, and what that's speaking of is the different nations around the world that were pretty much have always been under subjection of Esau, you know, being bullied, pushed around, like what we see here in this instance with the JOOs going in there and pretty much violently pushing out the Palestinians. Okay, you know, now because of Russia and China, they're giving these smaller nations nuclear capabilities, so these nations aren't afraid anymore of the Western powers. All right, they're not afraid of the United States and NATO and all those nations anymore because they're backed by the Eastern world powers. All right, so now these nations are saying, you know, says they're beating their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears and saying, I am strong. All right, and that represents, you know, they're turning away from their normal day-to-day things, you know, agriculture and stuff like that, and they're preparing themselves for war. It says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be awakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I send to judge all the heathen round about. Okay, so all the ones that are over there right now are heathens. Okay, none of those are the true children of Israel, and it actually tells you in Zechariah, I believe, Zechariah 9 and 6. I believe that's the one. Let's see. Okay, yep. Zechariah 9 and 6, it says, and a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's look up Ashdod real quick. Okay. So, Ashdod is a city in Israel. And let's see what it says about it. Okay, Ashdod was a member of the Philistine Pentapolis. Although the Bible assigns it to the tribe of Judah, the invading Israelites were unable to subdue it or its satellite towns. Okay, let's see, what was it known for? Ashdod is ideally located for day trips to Jerusalem, one of the most revered cities on the planet for Jews, Christians, Muslims, blah, blah. Okay, I don't care about that stuff. But essentially, Ashdod is a holy city, a famous city in Israel. All right, it's saying that in the end, that bastards are going to dwell there. And who are those bastards that it's speaking of? It's speaking of the JOOs, okay, so-called. All right. And if you go to Psalms 83rd chapter, I'm not going to go there. They list off all the enemies of Israel and the confederacy that rose up against the true children of Israel, for them to lose their name, their heritage, and for them to be no more in remembrance. But now if we go to the book of Obadiah, we're going to finish off with that. It's going to tell you that those same nations are going to rise up against Esau, Edom in battle. All right. Obadiah chapter 1. Well, there's only one chapter. Verse 1. It says, "The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle." Okay. And this is talking about this is really talking about, it's really talking about the United States and the whole beast system. But once again, that creation state is backed by, the beast system and is a major part of it. All right. And the people over there are the chief nation of Esau, Edom, known as Amalek. It says, "Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, and thou art greatly despised." And that actually makes me think. I'm gonna come back to this, but I'm gonna go to Jeremiah chapter 49. All right, and I just want to speak on this real quick. Jeremiah chapter 49, KJV. Okay, so I think it's around verse 20. Let's see. Nope. It is in this chapter though. Jeremiah chapter 49. Let me see. Maybe it is. Salakia, bear with me. I think it is. Actually, I think it is 20. Let me see. Where is it at? You know what? I'm just gonna read this chapter because it applies. It pretty much all applies, anyways. All right, so I'll start at Jeremiah chapter 20. Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. Nope, that's actually not it. Salakia. Okay, I'll start at verse 7. So it says, "Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough." All right, so that's pretty much saying, like, even thieves will leave something, but Esau ain't going to leave nothing. It says, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy father's children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith the Lord, behold, whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, have assuredly drunken. But art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it." So, it wasn't originally meant for us to go, to go into captivity, slavery, all these things. But, of course, the Lord had to make good on His word. Deuteronomy chapter 28. We went up under the curses, and we were servants to our enemies because we disobeyed the Most High, and He used Esau, Edom, the wicked, to do it. All right. Now let's see. It says now that just because the Lord ordered it, you think you're going to escape unpunished? Definitely not. "For I have sworn by myself, the Lord, that Bosra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather you together and come against her, and rise up to the battle." All right, we just read that, in Obadiah. "For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and greatly despised." Okay, we just read that. It says, "Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and pride of thine heart, O that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord." And all Edomite nations represent themselves with eagles. Okay, ancient Rome, the United States, Russia. All right, but Salakia, bear with me. I'm gonna look something up real quick on my other phone. there's a certain scripture in this chapter that I wanted to find. Okay. Certain scripture that I wanted to find. Let me see. What is that? Okay. Yeah, you know what? It is verse 20. So I'm in the right chapter. I don't know why I kept passing by it. But anyways, I'm going to keep reading. It says, also Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. And this is really talking about, now this is talking about America. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the man, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. All right. Now, I just want to bring out this scripture, and I'm going to go back to Obadiah. Okay. Verse 20, it says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he will make their habitations desolate with them. All right. And the least of Esau, Edom, is that small creation state of Israel. Okay. That's the least. And that's the nation that this is playing out right before our eyes, because that is the nation that is going to draw out the nations to bring them into World War III. I was just looking at a news article where it said that the United States deployed naval units, naval vessels over there close to the coast of Israel to prepare it for battle. So if the United States jumps in and then another nation like Iran or any of those other Eastern nations jumps in, then there you go. That's World War III right there. So we're right on the brink of it, very close. And it's all because of that, that small creation state of Israel, the 1948ers. All right, so that's this prophecy playing out right here. I'm going to read that again. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So, the whole purpose, he's going to bring destruction upon their habitations. All right, he's going to clear that land out, so the true children of Israel can go back when the Lord returns. So going back to Obadiah chapter 1. All right, it's kind of saying the same thing. Behold, I have made, verse 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high. That sayeth his heart, who shall bring me to the ground? And that's Esau, because they really think that nothing's ever going to happen until it does. All right. Now, I'm not going to, actually, you know what? Okay, verse 7. Skip down to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. And that's what's coming next. Okay, the different nations are going to rise up against Esau, Edom, and utterly destroy all of Esau, Edom's kingdoms. Okay. And, America, the daughter of Babylon, is going to be destroyed. The 1948ers, they're going to be destroyed. All right. All the nations are rising up against them. The nations of the East. All right. Let's see. It says, I'm going to read the next few verses and close out. Verse 8. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? O thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. That's what's going to happen that's the very end of them. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. All right. And there you go. I mean, that's plain and simple. Because Esau, Edom, even the 1948ers have all played a part. The 1948ers actually funded the cargo slave ships that brought us over here to the United States back in the day. All right. They've all played a part in it, man. So, For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. So that's what's coming next. All right, but well, it's gonna come soon. I'm not gonna say next. It's gonna be a while because they still got a lot of punishment to serve out before that happens. But that's pretty much it, man. Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect, wherever may be scattered across the four corners of the earth. That being said, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Shalom.